Tonight we are going to discuss the 2010-2011 NBA Preview. My name is Lucy Matz.
I'm Batko.
Alex Hirschberg.
Simrath Randhawa.
First topic we're going to talk about is the most improved player.
Well, I'm going to go with DeMar DeRozan, the guard from the Toronto Raptors. The Toronto Raptors, as you know, they got rid of Chris Bosh this offseason. They got rid of Hedo Turkoglu. Jose Calderon almost left. So they don't have much of anything right now. It's almost by default. DeRozan was their top 10 pick last year. He looked good in limited time. I think this year, as he gets more time, by default, he's going to start looking good. He's a complete prospect out of USC. Does everything, scores, defends. He'll shine if they give him 30-plus minutes, which I think they will. He can put up like 14 or 15 points.
Anthony Randolph of the New York Knicks. I debated between him and Paul Millsap of the Jazz. I just picked Randolph because in limited time last year with the Warriors, he played really well. He's shown great signs in the preseason of being a good player. I think he'll beat Wilson Chandler out for the starting small forward position on the Knicks.
I'm taking Terrence Williams from the New Jersey Nets. He's a guy, he's only in his second year, but he's already 23, so he's not immature by any stretch. He played last year, he averaged about 8 points a game, but in the month of April he did a lot better. He averaged about 14 a game. He looked great in the NBA Summer League that they showed on NBA TV. He's very versatile. He can play the 2, the 3, even play some point guard. I think he's going to do a little bit of everything for the Nets, and I think he can push his point per game average up to about 14, 15 a game, and even throw in, some assists and rebounds.
Washington Wizards, JaVale McGee. He's a very athletic center. Help with John Wall. He's going to have an easy conversation this season. He is able to defend. He's going to help him out a lot. He'll be able to finish. I think his numbers are going to go up a lot, actually, at the end of the season. So, all right, next we will discuss our most improved team.
So I'm going to go with the San Antonio Spurs. Last year, their big problem was Richard Jefferson just never got in sync with that team. It was Tim Duncan. He was starting to show his age. Ginobili was off and on. Parker really started to decline. They really didn't have any identity, and yet still they were able to beat the Mavericks in the first round. They got to the second round where they got swept by the Suns, but the Suns don't have Amari this year. So I think the Spurs, really, it's only between the Lakers. I think the Spurs can handle the Jazz. They handled the Mavericks last year. It's between them and the Lakers. I think they can do it. They have the experience. I think they have one last ride in them. There's Duncan, there's Ginobili, there's Parker. And now if Jefferson can ever get in sync like he was with the Nets, that's a really dangerous team.
My most improved team is going to be the Los Angeles Clippers. They get back Blake Griffin, who they didn't have all of last year. Still eligible for Rookie of the Year, by the way. They get back Eric Gordon, who played really well with Team USA this summer. He looks like he's going to be one of the most improved players. You get their reserves, Randy Foye, Al-Farouq Aminu, DeAndre Jordan, Eric Bledsoe, to go along with Chris Kaman and Baron Davis. They're probably going to improve.
I'm taking the Miami Heat. I'm trying to be right here. I'm not trying to be cute. Of course, they brought in the best player in the game, arguably LeBron James. They brought in Chris Bosh. And essentially, they're a whole new team. There's not a whole lot of holdovers from last year. I think they're going to be just a really good team, a killer team. Every other team in the league is going to get up for that game when they play them, but you know what? There's just too much talent there. When those three guys get on the same page, they're going to be nearly unstoppable.
The Washington Wizards. I think last year they had a lot of trouble with Gilbert Arenas and his gun issues and all his drama that he was having. He already did fake an injury, so besides him, I think that they do have a strong supporting cast. John Wall, number 1 pick, he's definitely going to bring a lot of chemistry and leadership to the team. I think that Arenas is going to try to get back on track. He has a lot of pressure to help out John Wall. Hopefully so Agent Zero returns this year. They're a concrete team, and I think JaVale McGee, as long as he helps out a lot, Flip Saunders is an excellent coach. He's going to help them move along. As long as everyone is healthy, I think they'll have a really great season. All right, next we're going to talk about the comeback player of the year.
I'm going to go with Tony Parker. Last year, George Hill kind of took over at the end of the year. During the playoffs, George Hill was getting the feature minutes. Tony Parker just kind of he was back in the shadow a little bit this offseason. Lots of trade rumors to the Knicks. It was a disgruntling offseason for him. I think he's starting to age a little bit. His quickness has always been his forte, and with age, that can slow down. But I like him to bounce back a little this year, put one last stand together. He really was the identity with the Spurs a couple years ago, back when they won their title. I think if the Spurs are to rebound, like I think they will, Parker will play a big role. So he'll be my comeback player of the year.
You got to go with Chris Paul. I mean, he was injured most of the season last year. They added Trevor Ariza to that team, and remember this name, Marco Bellini, to that team. He's been really good in the preseason. You've still got Peja Stojakovic on that team and David West. It looks like it's going to be a good team, and Chris Paul's a great player.
And that is none other than the big man himself, Yao Ming, straight out of China for the Houston Rockets. You know what? He had some real injury issues. A lot of people were wondering if he was ever even going to be able to play the game of basketball again. But you know what? By all reports, he's looking pretty good in preseason. He's working to get strength back again. And you know what? The Rockets are going to be a tough team. And you know what? He's still 7'6". He's Yao Ming. He's going to alter shots on the defensive end. He's a guy that you can feed the ball to in the post and kind of work around him. So I think he's going to remind people why he was the number one pick and why he's just such a superstar.
I'm actually going to go with Greg Oden, which might sound surprising, but I'm always going to root for my Buckeyes when I can. As long as he's healthy, I think he's going to try to do better this year. He is a big guy. He can do it. He just has to be healthy in order for this to happen. I think it's finally his year to come back and do this for the Trailblazers. Next, we're going to discuss the Rookie of the Year.
I think ultimately I went with John Wall, more chance to put up stats, even if Gilbert Arenas is there. I don't know for how long he even came out and said he's only there to mentor a little bit, then move on. Blake Griffin has so many people competing for the Clippers, Baron Davis, Chris Kaman, so many touches to go around. I think ultimately Wall gets more time. He gets it from the prominent position, the point guard. He gets to put up a lot of shots. I think he can put up maybe 15, even maybe 20 points a game.
Wes Johnson might be the best player on his team right now, the Minnesota Timberwolves. He's playing with Johnny Flynn, college teammate. He's got Kevin Love on that team, but he's going to be the one scoring. He's going to be the one leading the team. So he might get the most minutes, and he'll probably have the best stats.
Blake Griffin. It was really a shame last year how he went out with that knee injury right at the beginning. I picked him as my Rookie of the Year last year too. But you know what? He just didn't get to see the court for the Clippers. But I think this year that is going to change. He is going to stay healthy over the course of the season, playing at least probably 75 games. And you know what? The guy just has so much talent. He is a beast. He gets rebounds like it's nobody's business. He can score. He'll just be dunking on people. And I think he's going to be a big reason why that Clippers team shows a lot of improvement. Blake Griffin for Rookie of the Year.
John Wall is definitely going to be the Rookie of the Year. He's the number one pick for the Wizards. Although it's early, he looks very promising. He's very coachable. He's very enthusiastic. He has a great leadership quality. People are already comparing him to Magic Johnson. He's quick to the rim. He finishes strong. He is all about assisting people. He said that he'd rather win a championship instead of get Rookie of the Year, which is interesting. So it shows that he's really committed to his team. He has had tendonitis in both of his knees before, but he's dealt with that since his freshman year of high school, so that's not going to be a problem. As long as he can finish, avoid his turnovers, and improve his shooting, he'll definitely increase his game. I definitely think he will be the standout player to look for as a rookie. All right, next is going to be our bold predictions for this season.
The Miami Heat will not make the NBA Finals this year, and nonetheless win a championship. I like the Boston Celtics. I like how they match up with them. Lots of size. The O'Neals might be washed up, but they have size. The Heat do not have size. Kendrick Perkins is another nuisance when he'll come back by playoff time. Pierce, Rondo, Allen, Garnett, they've been playing a long time. They know what they're doing. They can score. Miami Heat, the first year, they're going to have to figure out a lot of things. Defensively, they have to get everything together. Chemistry, offensively. Fourth quarter, everybody talks about who's going to get the last shot. That'll also be an issue. I just think you need a year to get everything together before you can really take off. I think come playoff time, the Heat will have home court advantage. They'll have the better regular season record. But when push comes to shove, I'll take the Celtics, and I'll take the Celtics to win the NBA championship subsequently in the next round.
The Atlanta Hawks won't make the playoffs this year in the NBA East. There's been a lot of improvement in the East. You've got 5 real solid teams in Miami, Chicago, Orlando, Boston, and more like 4 solid teams. And then you've got New York, Milwaukee Bucks. The Pacers could make the playoffs. Philly could make the playoffs. I just don't think the Hawks are going to do it. I don't think Marvin Williams is all that good. Joe Johnson just signed a new contract. He doesn't really have much motivation to play. Bibby is over the hill. You could see them not making the playoffs this year.
Chicago Bulls are going to have the best record in the East and grab that number 1 seed in the playoffs. This is a team that they kind of quietly but dramatically improved over the offseason. They brought in Carlos Boozer, a guy that was, kind of a consolation prize to Chris Paul and LeBron and even Dwayne Wade. But you know what? Carlos Boozer's no slouch. That guy can score in the post. He can hit the mid-range jumper. But they also brought in J.J. Redick. He's just a winner. That guy just wins games. He won at Duke his entire career. You know what? He won with the Magic last year. He's a guy that winning teams just have on their team. They brought in another sharpshooter, Kyle Korver. He's a guy that knocks down shots regardless of the situation. And you know what? I think Derrick Rose is going to be exponentially better this year than he was last year. He had the whole summer with the Olympic team.
My bold prediction is that Eric Spoelstra will be fired if things do not work out well in Miami. I think with the three superstar trio, if two of them are left, if one of them gets injured, I think their season's not going to go as well as it could be, and the coach's butt will be on the line. I think he'll get fired depending how things go, even if it doesn't turn out as big as it should. If LeBron doesn't get MVP, I think there's many options why the coach would be fired. Next, we're going to discuss the top three teams for each conference.
For the East, my top team will be the regular season-wise, the Miami Heat, followed by the Boston Celtics, and number 3, the Orlando Magic. Kind of bland, but I didn't trust the Chicago Bulls enough to put them over the Orlando Magic. Orlando Magic might not have a great playoff track record, but they get it done in the regular season. They have a very good all-around team. Vince Carter, I think, will be playing for something this year. And in the Western Conference, I'll be going Lakers 1, Spurs 2, and I'll be going the Portland Trailblazers 3. I think this is that thing with Greg Oden coming back. I think they can start to break through a little bit. They'll win their Northwest Division, which frankly isn't that good. I think the Lakers are number 1 still. Lakers just too much talent all around. They're going to be the favorites again to win it all, although I don't think they'll win it all again this year. And then the Spurs, like I said before, I think they can break through a little bit this year. Tony Parker, I think, will come back to have an all-star type year.
The Miami Heat, the Chicago Bulls, and the Orlando Magic. I don't think the Celtics can contend with those top 3. They're a very old team. Despite the fact that they did really well in the playoffs last year, we're talking regular season here. In regular season last year, I'm almost positive they were 4th or 5th in the East. For the West, I'm going to go with the Los Angeles Lakers, of course. I think they're going to win the championship again. I think the Oklahoma City Thunder are going to be up there, either 2 or 3. That team might be one of the most improved teams in the league. Kevin Durant's going to be the MVP of the league this year. Russell Westbrook. They just have a very, very good team. And the San Antonio Spurs have to make a comeback from the way they were last year. You've got Tony Parker, who should come back and play better than he did last year. Ginobili, Duncan. I really like DeJuan Blair. I'm a homer. And you've got George Hill and a bunch of other good players. So
Number 1, like I said before, if Chicago Bulls, I think they're going to make great strides, at least in the regular season. Don't know if they'll be able to get it done in the playoffs. But nonetheless, number 2, I have the Miami Heat. I also talked about them before. I think they're just going to be a really good team. One of those teams that can kind of just coast through the regular season and then really turn it on once they get to the playoffs, much like the Boston Celtics last year. And for my 3 team is the Boston Celtics. I think the Orlando Magic take a little bit of a step back this year. I know a lot of people are talking about Dwight Howard and how he's going to be much improved, but I just don't know if he has that winning instinct inside of him that the true greats really have. The Celtics, this could be one last hurrah for a lot of those guys, so I think they're definitely going to go all out this year. And in the West, my number 1 team, no surprise, like everyone else, I have the Los Angeles Lakers. They're the Lakers. Not really much else you can say there. They're pretty much the same team. Number 2, I have the Oklahoma City Thunder. Like Alex said, that's a team that's just undoubtedly trending upward. Kevin Durant's an incredible player. Russell Westbrook's a great point guard. Jeff Green does the little things for them inside. And number 3, I actually have the Houston Rockets, sort of my kind of sleeper for this year. I just think they have a lot of great players. They have Kevin Martin, the guy just scores the basketball. Aaron Brooks, last year's most improved player, is a great floor general point guard. They're bringing Yao Ming back. Luis Scola can play inside if the whole Yao Ming thing doesn't work out. And then Shane Battier, their glue guy, kind of holds them all together. So I think they're a team to watch for.
I have Miami Heat as number 1. Surprise, surprise. The 3 of them together, they're going to be unstoppable. It's going to be quite a show. The second team I have are the Boston Celtics. I think a bad taste was left in their mouth after the finals last year, and especially with Paul Pierce. They're ready to go. They're ready to play competitive teams again and get back into the finals. And I also have Orlando Magic as one of the top 3 because Dwight Howard is ready to go. He wants a ring. He's there, and this year I think he's really going to step it up. For the West, the Lakers I have as number 1. They're the defending champions. They have such a vengeance. Kobe's obviously the best player in the league. Oklahoma City Thunder, I think they're going to be a team to look out for. They have a great venue with great fans. Kevin Durant is the face of the NBA, which he's upcoming in a few years. And I think they're just going to make it a tough series for the Lakers in the playoffs. For third, I have the Phoenix Suns. I think Hill, Nash, and Torgolo are a great cast, and they're going to be a threat to the West. Watching the NBA preview, this is Panther Sports Network. See you later this NBA season.